Happy Sunday, guys. All right. Lizzie is at sports day with one of her schools, so that means I have a free day to basically do whatever I want, and whatever I want is exactly what I've done today. I first went around and looked for a place to get a haircut. There's two things in Hakodate that are in very high supply: ramen restaurants, which is great, and hair salons and barbers. There's tons of them. So, excuse me, I ate a lot of ramen. I basically went through and checked them all out, vetted them a little bit, looked at prices, and I found this one place and the place I decided on just happened to be like literally right down the street. Like I rode for miles on my bike, checking out all the different places, and I ended up landing at the place that's just over here. So the guy came out and he saw that I was looking at the menu or the price sheet on the window. He spoke to me, younger dude. He spoke to me in a lot of Japanese that I didn't understand, shocker. And somehow we managed to communicate, and I was able to gather that he was booked up for the weekend and that his first availability would be on Monday. And I said, how about 5 o'clock? And he said, that sounds great. So come Monday at 5, I'm going to get all this stuff chopped off, and hopefully it looks okay. I'm super nervous. Like I had surgery like 2 years back. I was less nervous about getting surgery than I am currently about getting a haircut. Japanese hair is unlike American hair. My hair is very fine, and it's doing a fine job of falling out on its own, so I'm not trying to go scalp bearing with anything, and I don't want to look like I'm in denial if I start balding and I'm trying to cover it up. So if I get a bad haircut, I'll just get the clippers and just buzz it all off, and you'll see what I look like in sort of my Britney Spears nervous breakdown kind of get up. So we'll see how that turns out, but hopefully I'm optimistic. I've got some pictures, and I've been told by lots and lots of people that Japanese hairstylists do a really, really good job. So we'll see. And I really feel like everybody does a really good job. Everyone takes their craft very seriously in this country, so I admire them for that. Last weekend, 1 week ago, we participated in a parade. It's the Goryokaku Parade, or just the Goryokaku Parade. And I think that commemorates the modernization of Hokkaido as Japan's northernmost island and youngest island. It also commemorates the last, I think, feudal battle that occurred in this area, as well as Hakodate opening its ports up for European traders. And I think this was the first place in Japan, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think this is the first place in Japan that opened its ports up to European traders. And that's why you have so much Russian architecture and European architecture in Hokkaido, especially in this area. The night before, we had a big shindig at a hotel lobby, or hotel like a meeting room. We got to meet lots of locals. We got to meet some of the more powerful people in the town and sit with them and eat a lot of food. It was open bar, which of course is very awesome. And what's interesting is that Japan loves to time stuff. So like the party didn't get super, super rowdy, even though it was a full open bar. And I mean like beer, sake, wine, and liquor. Japan times a lot of stuff, meaning that this party was 2 hours and like everybody drank as fast as they can for 2 hours. And after 2 hours was up, like party was over, like they took down the balloons, took down the favors, and everybody left. So Japan is really good at timing things. It was still super, super fun. It was cool. The parade was cool. We walked for about an hour and a half down the street with a lot of other people. There were lots of Japanese people dressed up like other people from other countries as well. And I was basically dressed up as like an English lieutenant or a general or something. And I was carrying the English flag and waving at children, basically. So it was fun. It was really cool. We got soup curry afterwards. We were treated to soup curry. So once again, I was into that. I love soup curry. If you've never had soup curry, it's kind of a staple in Hokkaido, and I think more so in Sapporo, but you have it here in Hakodate as well. Soup curry is basically like a soup that's a curry. Shocker. And they put all sorts of vegetables in it. You get to pick what kind of meat you want in it and your spiciness level, and it's really, really tasty, and it's really delicious, and we've been talking about making it on our own one day, but man, it's just so tasty to get it out here. This week at school, it was absolutely fine. No real major curveballs or anything like that. The lunches were good. I ate pretty much every lunch, and I cleaned my plate, which I'm getting better at, and I've learned the secret. The secret is never let your mouth get empty. Keep stuff in your face. If your mouth is empty at lunchtime, at school, you're doing it wrong. Keep stuffing. You got to get on sort of a groove with it, and before you know it, your tray will be empty, and everybody's happy. You've set a good example for your students because you ate all of your lunch. I was also evaluating essays during a planning period, and there was one essay. It was the topic was like, what did you do last weekend or something like that, and one of the students wrote something to the effect of, I listened to Onkyo, then I buried the bones, then we ate sushi. I was pretty sad. And so I Googled Onkyo, and I found like a streaming music service. I was like, okay, so this kid listened to the Japanese equivalent of Spotify, and then he probably like buried his hamster or guinea pig. That's a bummer. I can empathize with that. But then I asked around, and it turns out Onkyo is not only a music streaming service, but it's also like this Buddhist ritual where you bury the ashes and the bones of a recently deceased with the bones and the ashes of your other deceased family members. So I think it's really weird that there's a streaming music service named after that. I poured one out for the little dude that night, and hopefully all is well. Hopefully he is getting through his bereavement. Elementary school kids are hilarious. It's one of my favorite things to watch in Japan. Number one, they're all tiny. Number two, they're always wearing really bright colors. Number three, there's always like 4 or 5 of them together. You very seldom see them by themselves. And they're always like crossing the street, and they have to raise their hand whenever they cross the street, which is pretty cute when you see like a gaggle of little Japanese children raising their hands as they cross the street. But they're also always getting into something. Like you never see them just like standing and minding their own business. And of course that's not uncharacteristic for kids, but they're always either like looking at bugs on the street and they're all like huddled around, or they're trading cards or something, or they're playing tag or junken or something while they're waiting at the crosswalk. They're always getting into something, and they're always doing something, and it's always pretty funny and pretty amusing to me. So today, for the rest of the day, I'm probably gonna work on an online class that I have enrolled in that I need to get on the ball with. And other than that, I'm going to hang out and enjoy this wonderful Hakodate weather, and probably get out later tonight and go to a couple of bars, have a couple of drinks, and maybe even eat ramen again if I can convince Her Majesty of it. So cross your fingers for that. And until next time, I will see you on the flip side. And yeah, bye-bye.